All right, I'm coming to you live right here on the corner of Holman and Live Oak. I'm where the first black church in Houston, Trinity Methodist Church. And Trinity Methodist Church, this is not the original location. Their original location was on the corner of Bale and Travis. 1848 when they started this congregation. You might as well say almost 20-something years before the Emancipation Proclamation. But when they got organized and moved into their first sanctuary, they became the second black church to be downtown, next to Antioch. And we're coming to you live right here at the corner of Live Oak and Holman. But the original black church, which is Trinity, it was on the corner of Bell and Travis. You say, well, what is Bell and Travis? Well, Bell and Travis is where the Humble Building was. Bell and Travis is where we might not know it as the Humble Building. We might know it as the Exxon Building. That was the original location of Trinity. And when they wanted to move over here in 1951, that's when the congregation split up. I just heard the history from Mr. Art, who have always been a faithful member of Trinity Methodist Church. But what happened was in 1951, when the church caught a fire that was on the corner of Bell and Travis, they moved towards this way. When I say this way, moving towards Third Ward, because Blackshear had been up and also Jack Yates had been up. So they felt like most of their congregation was going to Blackshear and Jack Yates. So when they moved over here in 1951, some of the members did not want to leave out of Fourth Ward. So it's just like any other thing that we're dealing with today. They was dealing with the same thing, one going one way, the other going another way. So what eventually happened was that the other congregation who decided to go their separate ways, they went on McGowan and they became Trinity East. But it all started right here at Trinity Methodist Church. And then it went into Trinity East, which was over there on McGowan. And I'm just so thankful to be able to share this history of our black churches here. And this church is still going strong. I got Mr. Art's number. We're going to sit down with Mr. Art. He's going to give us the whole history of this here church. Because we need to know this. Because I was under the impression all my life that Antioch was the first church, black church we had, which is not true. Antioch was the first Baptist church that we had. Now that's true. But the first black church was a Methodist church. And it was Trinity. And Trinity moved from Bale and Travis to over here on this corner of Holman and Live Oak in 1951. All right, we're coming to you live right here on the corner of Elgin and Delano, Progressive New Hope Baptist Church. And now this is another old black church that I went to. But when I went to this church, it was Reverend Brown was the minister, and let me show you the original location. See, they moved because they seen that they didn't have the space that they wanted to have. This is the original Progressive New Hope Baptist Church, was right over here. I never forget that because my auntie, Aunt Dora, went to this church. I went to this church a couple of times with her. Like I said, my mother used to work on Sunday, so I went to several churches. I didn't know why God had me doing this, but now I see why. It was my calling. And this is where Reverend Brown was the pastor here. And also, Johnny Nash and his family went to this church here. A good friend of mine, Grady Johnson, their family was a member here. But right here, I never would forget, Reverend Brown was the minister, and right over there was the old Jack Yates. And I remember going to New Hope Progressive Church when Reverend Brown was the pastor, and the church was right over there. And they moved later to where you see right now. But as I zoom over here to Jack Yates. This is the Jack Yates that I knew when I was coming up as a little boy. And that's over there, we played four square. And that's where I met the Patterson boys, Adrian and Andrew, right there playing four square in that corner. That's why I remember my Aunt Dora took me to that church. And my Aunt Dora was the first black real estate lady in the city of Houston. All those homes that you seen over there on McGregor, where all those Jewish people stayed at, and Timbercrest, 80% of those homes were sold and real estated by Davis Real Estate, and that was my auntie, Dora Mae Davis. And she was a member of Progressive. As I zoom around, and you can see that the Negro Hospital was right over there, which later became Riverside. But as you can see, this is Progressive New Hope Baptist Church. Also, a good friend of mine was buried here, and he was a big member here of this church. The Carl Oliver, and his family was a big member and a long-time membership here at Progressive New Hope Baptist Church. All right, we're live right here on the corner of Holman and Sawyer and Greater Rose Hill Missionary Baptist Church. I remember this church so well because when we used to go to Blackshear, we would always walk by here. And Miss White was a teacher over there at Blackshear Elementary School, and we always walked by this way, and we could always go here to the ice cream parlor. And when we leave the ice cream parlor, we go right up there to Kelly's Drugstore. We're live right here in 3rd Ward, and we're doing all the black churches here in 3rd Ward. To let you know, the black churches are not like the black elementary schools. They still got their doors open. All righty, we're on the corner of Hatley and Nagel. And this is another church that's still here in 3rd Ward and still got a pretty decent congregation. It's Mount Zion. All right, we're live right here on the corner of Nagel and Webster as we celebrate 75 years of Fort Missionary Baptist Church on this corner. And what can I say, man? I am so blessed. I never really went here until I was an adult, and I had my grocery store, and that's when I met the almighty Reverend Stanley Branch. Man, what can you say? Pastor Stanley Branch, 61 years of Fort Missionary Baptist Church has been the minister here. And as we can see, that's the original Fort Missionary Baptist Church. And right over here, in 1970, they moved to another building, which was right next door. And that's Fort Missionary Baptist Church. 75 years the church have been here in this same location of Webster and Nagel, 3rd Ward. All right, we're live right here on the corner of Hatley and Ty Webster, and we're at Greater Zion Missionary Baptist Church, where the Reverend Price used to be the minister here. And I'm so blessed to have Reverend Price and his members used to always come and patronize me on Sunday morning before they go to Sunday school. And I want to thank so much of the members who used to come in and patronize me when I had my grocery store. And my grocery store is right behind Greater Zion Missionary Baptist Church. And this is another church that's in 3rd Ward that's still holding on. And the first time I got a chance to go to church with my mother was right here with Reverend Scott. St. Emmanuel Missionary Baptist Church. And what can I say about Reverend Scott and the family here? Because this is where I buried. This is the last place I seen my mother. When I put my mother to rest, Reverend Scott preached my mother's funeral. I thank Deborah Molo and all of her sisters who knew my mother, who was part of the family of Reverend Scott and St. Emmanuel. Thank you, Deborah, you and all your sisters, man, for all y'all support, and your daughters. But this is where I joined church. And this is where my mother's funeral was, right here. June 26, 1971. Reverend Scott, St. Emmanuel Baptist Church. And what can I say? This is part of 3rd Ward, and this is part of the history that haven't left yet. And I thank all the people who still go and support St. Emmanuel, because it's still here today. And I'm so blessed to know all of these churches, to be able to share it with you guys, and to see the appreciation y'all show me. You can see, I didn't accidentally do this. This is God's will. And what I'm doing, I know it's God's will because y'all guys appreciate what I'm doing. Y'all can relate to what I'm doing. Y'all understand what I'm doing. Laying the history down of 3rd Ward, and we already did all the black schools. Now we're doing all the black churches that are still here. They ain't closed down yet like the black schools. But thank you. And I want to thank all of the people that's still supporting St. Emmanuel, and Reverend Scott and his ministry who helped started St. Emmanuel right here. Again, thank you, Deborah, Miss Deborah Molo, and all of your sisters and your daughters for all the support y'all giving me here on. We're live right here on the corner of Holman and Canfield, and we at Holman Street Baptist Church. Man, what can you say, man? They have came a long ways, and they still got a strong congregation over here at Holman Street Baptist Church. But they hadn't always had this building, y'all. I mean, just to show you how much they have grown. That's Holman Street Baptist Church that you're looking at right now. All of that is Holman Street Baptist Church. And as you can see, they building some more condos in the back of Holman Street Baptist Church. Like I say, it's all about change happening here in 3rd Ward. And that's the organization that's buying all of this property out here to Jack Yates and out here in 3rd Ward. And as you can see, this is Holman Street Baptist Church. It's still going strong here in 3rd Ward. And over there, we will show you where the original Holman Street Baptist Church was, right over there. That's the original, back in the 50s and the early 60s. And they have grown in 2000 up until there. And most of this property over here, close to 3rd Ward and Jack Yates, is owned by Holman Street Baptist Church, if I'm not mistaken. But I know one time the minister at one time was buying a lot of property over here, close to 3rd Ward, in 3rd Ward, and over here by Jack Yates. And as you can see, there's Jack Yates right down the street. And we're live right here at Holman Street Baptist Church in 3rd Ward. And that is the original Holman Street Baptist Church that you're looking at right there. All right, we're live right here on the corner of Wheeler and Scott. This is the largest church in 3rd Ward today, Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church. It is a mega church. And what can you say about Reverend Lawson, who started Wheeler Street Baptist Church? And when he started it, man, he started in a little bitty place, and he was mainly helping the people at TSU get spiritually advised. And he grew. And when he got involved with the black movement and Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King, he was the man. When Martin Luther King came to Houston, he made sure that he got in touch with Reverend Lawson. Reverend Lawson was the man who integrated Jeff Davis. In 1965, he went out to 5th Ward and got all the kids out of Wheatley and told them if they wanted to go to Jeff Davis, they could go. And when he took them kids out of Phyllis Wheatley and walked them over there to Jeff Davis, nobody gave him no problem because they knew he was part of Reverend Martin Luther King. And at that time, he was Reverend Martin Luther King. And later he became Dr. Martin Luther King. But as you can see, that's Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church, a mega church. And they have did a lot for 3rd Ward. His daughter, Melody, his son Eric, and the whole Lawson family have did so much for Third Ward. And all of this is the mega church of Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church. Look at it. That's it, y'all. As you look at it, this. As you can see, you're in Third Ward, y'all. It's always a clown and a hillbilly. And as you can see, that's University of Houston. And we're live right here at the largest church in Third Ward, Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church. Span at least 3 to 4 blocks long. And that don't even include a charter school, which is down the street there. But today we doing nothing but the churches.